in the hot tub.
All right, we are live, off-centered Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Steve was running a minute or two late. Sorry about that, Steve. Why don't you finish your story you were telling us as to why you were running a couple minutes behind?
Okay, so the hot tub's been delivered since Saturday, right? But I had to wait for the electrician to come out today, so that's Wednesday. So, when you got money in your pocket and you want to spend it, they say money burning a hole in your pocket. Well, I'm like dying to get in this hot tub. It's been staring at me since Saturday. And
like a tractor beam.
And mind you, I ordered it also like a week and a half ago, so it had to be delivered. So they did all the electrical work. And then I'm still thinking it's like at least 3 or 4 days away. And the electrician was like, dude, you get this filled up and stuff, it'll be good to go tonight. I was like, really? So really, it only took a couple hours to fill up. I took a water sample down to the pool place because it's not far. Got the chemicals in it, and it's been heating and heating and heating. And I've been like, man, it needs to hit at least 103 before I get in it. Well, around 8 o'clock, it was at like 98. And I was like, oh, man. I was like, it's going to be perfectly timed, ready to go right when I have to go live.
You could have just been in the hot tub going live. I know people have talked about I should do that. One time we were all going to do that. I just don't know with like the Jets running, how that's going to work exactly. We're all going to be like yelling. Maybe it'll just be like inaudible, like an hour of us just yelling stuff over the Jets. And that'll be
right. Well, the Jets on this are actually kind of quiet. Like it's pretty cool. But,
oh, okay.
The hot tub's like deep. It's deep. So it's like the only thing out of the water is like my head.
It's like
my wife has to use a booster seat in it.
I might need a life jacket to go in when I visit. Just saying.
Well, because it's got the headrests that have the jets in the neck and the shoulders, so they actually come up out of the hot tub and then it's like locking you into a roller coaster.
Yeah, Steve got the $50,000 hot tub.
I got the BGS Black Label hot tub.
I got the $300, on the side of the road where they're getting rid of it and moving. That's the one I plugged in. All right, let's say hello to the chat. Jim C. Goodfellas, what's going on? Yes, Brad is off male modeling. I caught up with him, like a week or two ago. I was texting with him. He's doing fine. He's still out there. He's still out there running game, doing his stuff. Hoffman Dam, good to see you. Afternoon. Where are you located? Chad CNT Collectibles, hot tub time machine, absolutely 100%. Ryan McClanahan, I know I missed a couple people said that. Jim Langford, 52 Bowman. I'll be honest, and this is where everyone's going to light me up. I don't know who Jim Langford is. So there you go. All of you vintage football people are you can dive in on me. I know. Michael Ham, hot tub time machine. What's going on, buddy? Hope to see you at the National. We're going to talk about the National a little bit tonight. Hope you were.
Yeah. And Michael Ham knew the whole story because I was on the phone with Michael Ham around 7:30ish, and I was like, dude, this hot tub is like needs to get warm. Let's go.
Yours is definitely the upgrade from mine because mine, it depends how cold it is. It's like 35 degrees out, but it'll take 5-6 hours to get it up from like 85 to 100. So you must have the supercharged version.
Well, no, it's just the electricity. I guess I also think
you probably have a more powerful heater too.
I guess so.
Dakota, what's going on? Yeah, you might. Not this time. We're not getting a thumbs up from Dakota this time. MDC, what's up? Corey and Cream City, Wednesday night.
What?
Card Guy 72, what's going on? Brian, I don't know how you're dealing with all this up and down Brady news. This guy's been talking smack to me about Brady and the Saints and the Bucs are going to kill us and all this and that. And then last week he said Brady was going to Arizona. And now Tom Brady's retiring. So I don't know, Brian, are you still going to be in the streams talking smack to me? I hope so.
This isn't Brian that I know, is it?
Brian. Yeah.
It's not your friend Brian from North Carolina.
Oh, no. No. It's not.
Okay.
No.
They came to the Dallas show and stuff.
Yeah. It's Brian something. I forgot his name. And now he went incognito. Now he's Helix Band. I don't remember his last name.
It's not Brian Sherland, is it? I remember that name bouncing around.
It might be. Tom Shady. I'm kind of hoping for as much as I didn't like Tom Brady in New England and as much as I really didn't like him playing for Tampa, I was kind of ready for this revenge story next season. I was ready for he got divorced and now it's time to come back and take control of the league at 57 years old. I was kind of ready for that.
No, the only reason he came out of retirement last year is because he knew he was going into divorce and he didn't want to have to share that Fox contract with Giselle. So he was like, I'm going back to play. And then once the divorce is final, then I'll sign that contract with Fox.
I think people overlook too when you say like, oh man, he chose a season of football over his family. There's no way in hell. There's probably 10 other reasons why that didn't work out. People act like they know other people's relationships. Like, you're trying to tell me that this guy wanted to play one more season of football and that was the only issue? I highly doubt that. Nips Rips, love the name. Good to see you. Oh, New Zealand. There we go. Nips is in Ohio with Neo. Are you guys freezing your butts off?
It's supposed to be really cold here this week. I think 8 degrees on Friday or something is a low.
Yeah, Chris. So Brad, comeback card investor, has retired from cards. So he is the comeback card investor. So I'm assuming there will be a comeback at some point down the line. I'm not counting on it necessarily, but I think he probably put it in the name on purpose just in case. He can always come back. Ricardo, question: I need information how to grade and where to send. That's a very general question. I've got 12 questions. Neo would be great to answer that one right now. Go ahead, Rob.
It depends.
Yeah, we can't answer. Ricardo, we need like someone. Yeah. You're gonna have to fill out the sheet. You're gonna have to complete the form.
There's a flow chart. You got to follow a flow chart.
Yeah. All right, Langford.
Oh, wait, we're on your channel. You have to send it to SGC.
That's right.
Yeah, but is there a conflict of interest now that COMC is grading with CSG?
Oh, Steve asking the hard-hitting questions.
Absolutely not. Actually, I'm going to save a lot of my thoughts because that's tomorrow morning's video. I don't want to ruin that. But actually, we're on the subject, guys. So Neo, Rob, you already put a video out. Steve, you have not put a video out on it yet. So what are your thoughts? What's your instant reaction? And go ahead, Rob. Neo, you go first.
I think the biggest winner is Marvel and Hockey, just because of the EPAC component, strictly because of that. Marvel's a really big deal on COMC. I think people people in the Marvel space know that. I think people not involved in the Marvel space don't realize how integral COMC is to the Marvel card world and how important it is because of the EPAC stuff. So the fact that you could target those cards plus hockey stuff that is essentially pack fresh, minus QC issues, obviously. But like that stuff's never been torn from a pack, penny sleeved, shipped off 17 different times. Like limited humans have touched those cards. So I think those are the things a lot of people will target. And then I think the other big winner, which I didn't think about this in the video, Carlos mentioned it in his, and then I talked about it in my video for tomorrow. And a lot of people mentioned it in my comments. This is really good for international people because of like they don't have to do the shipping and all that stuff. Like COMC is going to handle it all. So no crossing, international borders and, the taxes and duties and all that nonsense that's involved with that. So a lot of the international people were pretty excited about it in the comments on my video today.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize COMC is the main vendor that does handle their licenses, Upper Decks licenses, for the EPAC stuff. So that's why you do see a lot of Marvel stuff because it just goes, they open the digital pack, the physical card, you have that option to just put it right through to COMC. Now with CGC, I guess for Marvel, you can't have it come to so you can't grade it and have it go to your house, or it has to go grade and then go back to COMC, which is fine, but it's just something to be aware of, because I did ask that question of can you have it graded and then shoot it off different places, and that's not how it's going to be, at least at first. I think my initial reaction is it's awesome. It's a good thing because a lot of people want grading through COMC. When I was talking to them about it too, I'll be excited when all four kind of those big grading companies are options, because then it's like it just opens the door for everything, because go ahead.
I did confirm today that it's not exclusive, so we probably will see the other ones.
Oh yeah, it's not exclusive. Yeah, it's not exclusive. It's just logistically, it's tough to roll out, 4 grading companies at the same time and do all that. So. But yeah, that's my hope, is that you see, because that's going to be the next question is, when are you going to have PSA? When are you going to have BGS? When are you going to have SGC? That's going to be the next question.
I think for them, it'll be a little, well, I guess you could play the same angle, because if you're buying EPAC stuff specifically, if you could send that to the other grading companies too, that would make a lot of sense. So yeah, from that perspective, that would work pretty well too. But I do think honestly, the biggest winner is the EPAC stuff. Like, it's kind of like the side tangent thing that people aren't really thinking about, like that hockey and Marvel stuff, I think potentially gets the biggest boost out of all this outside of grading company.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch too, just to see how much action they get from it, in the beginning. I think over time it's a big deal. Right now, like the volume, we'll just kind of have to see how that
I think
looks.
a good test case is going to be, and we don't know the exact release date yet, but the next big Marvel release is Fleer Ultra Avengers, and that's going to be a pretty hyped set. So that should probably hit physical in the next month or two, and then EPAC like a month after that. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of like really nice inserts and stuff in there. How many people will try to, potentially flip that stuff through CGC grading when that comes out?
Yeah, for sure. Steve, do you want to throw in your 2 cents? Do you know what we're talking about, or have you just been hot tubbing all day?
Well, I mean, I have an idea. Like I guess COMC is directly dealing with CSG, and you could basically send your cards directly from the platform to be graded, kind of like when Star Stock was doing it with PSA. Typically for me, I don't mess with that type of stuff because I like to see what I'm going to send in. I mean, even if it's coming from like an EPAC or whatever, which does make sense. That's probably the best use of COMC. Neo is correct. When I was buying Marvel cards heavily, COMC was huge for me for Marvel cards. But I don't do actually a whole lot with sports cards on there because I like to see what I'm going to buy, especially if I plan on grading it. So
no, makes sense. Are any of you guys going to Burbank? I'm not going to make this one. I would love to go to the show. It's just I'm on the other end of the coast. I'm in North Carolina, so it's just a beast to get all the way to the West Coast. But eventually, I would like to get out there. Are you guys going?
Nah, same reason. We're all East Coast guys. That's rough travel. I did have this is unrelated, but I guess semi-related. Did you guys have FOMO for missing Atlanta? I was like really sad not to be at Atlanta the whole time the Atlanta show was going.
I heard there was Stranger Things cards there, so I was kind of interested because honestly, and that's something at the National I want to see too, is how many of kind of the culture cards come out of the woodwork at the National, because not really much of that. And so I'm curious to see, how that looks. But I did hear there was some of that stuff in Atlanta. So I was kind of bummed that I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost been a year since Atlanta. That was the biggest thing to me. I'm like, man, where's all the time gone? Like, I feel like Atlanta was like,
it feels like
2 months ago.
Yeah,
like I'm like, and
basically 1 year ago we were going to get hot chicken with Michael Ham and my wife. Like,
yeah, right.
It wasn't that long ago.
But it doesn't. Yeah, I know it doesn't feel like it's been a whole year almost. But I'm just ready to get out to any show. I'd love to get to California. Period. It wouldn't even have to specifically be a Burbank show, but. And yeah, I just missed Atlanta, but I've missed Dallas, because I went to Dallas last year. I've missed going back to all the shows that I hit in 2021 that I kind of missed in 2022. Now Atlanta is the 2023 show, but I was telling my wife yesterday, I was like, man, I need to get back into the mix. I need to get back into the shows. I need some negotiating. And then I negotiated a card today online back and forth with a guy. And in my mind, I won my negotiation. I got the price that I wanted. And I was like, fist pumping in the car. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I closed the deal online. Let's go. I was just pumped. I was finally like back in it because I've been out of it. Everything going on with the house and even stuff leading into the house, whether it was work or
you've been negotiating hot tubs, not cards.
Yeah. Well, I just had all, I had a lot going on at work. I had the issues with my brother. And then, I was closing on a house and it was just like, I feel like it's been a good 4 or 5 months since I've really been in buying mode. And I was consigning cards. So I wasn't really doing a lot of selling myself. I was consigning lots and lots of cards. My last consignment actually went out the first week in November though. So that's how long it's been since I've sold a card. But I'm in buy mode right now.
Nice.
So I need to get to some shows because online dealing and stuff is not as fun.
Do you want to share the genre of stuff that you're buying? Not even necessarily the specifics if you don't want to.
Well, yeah, but it's the same thing that a lot of people are, or that's been popular. I'm not looking for a quick flip, and I guess that's everybody's definition. It's going to be different for everybody. I'm looking more on a 5-month basis, whether that's medium, quick, or long term. That's long term to some people. So
for Kenny, that's a lifetime.
Lifetime.
Yeah. So I'm gearing up for the National already. And just judging by the last 2 years that I've been to the National, I'm trying to buy cards that I think other people are going to want. They're not necessarily cards that I want. And I know it's always like, buy what you want. And that way, if you get stuck with it, at least you like it. That's not my objective here.
Yeah.
My objective is to get cards that other people want, because things always pop up at the National that are cards that you don't, always see. And I want to have items that I can trade for those and get higher trade value as opposed to a cash value.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Rob, do you have any specific stuff that you're looking at now, or just genre of stuff?
I've been really looking at a lot of on-card auto stuff. Hall of Fame on-card auto, same stuff that I've always kind of looked at. On-card autos, color match stuff, mix of both if I can, some PC stuff. I think football's a good play right now. Buying these guys that are on the dip. It's almost actually a little too late for football. Some of the stuff's already kind of started creeping up a little bit in some players, because that's the stuff people are going to want at the National. I mean, like Steve said, 2 years in a row now, if you have football, that's what people want.
Yeah,
I traded football for. I was actually flipping through my camera roll the other day, and it was like a Baker Mayfield booklet and a Justin Herbert and a little bit of cash for my Tatum Green Prism. And it's like, I would do that trade 1,000 times out of 1,000. I always think my target going into the National every year is to look for basketball, because it feels like that's the dead period for basketball, because everyone's looking for football. It's post the NBA championship, you're post all the free agency moves, and everyone's looking at football.
It's
so
a
I
good
always
point
like taking
too.
football to move for basketball.
Because if you just happen to have, if you take a swing at a few QBs now, or kind of in this time frame, and they just happen to be hot based on the draft and free agency, and their team is kind of, looking good, then that can be kind of a fun element to the National if you happen to have, a few cards of those particular players. So I agree. I agree with you. I've been looking at, I'm on my buying hiatus, but the stuff that I'm looking at for summer specifically, or maybe a little bit earlier than that, are like the Topps definitive and the, what is it, like, is it black diamond, or maybe it's just diamond, but like dual autos for guys like, because I noticed that like Ricky Henderson autos fairly common, but like Ricky Henderson and Mark McGuire, they're not as common, but really cool cards. So maybe not necessarily a Hall of Famers, but just, either Hall of Famers or just two guys that that were awesome to watch growing up type thing.
Yeah. Like I showed this in my pickups video. Like this was like $40.
Yeah.
Canseco on card. It's a green color match. Like,
yeah, some of that high end baseball stuff is awesome, I think. And I'm not a big baseball card guy collector, but that stuff is really cool. Court cards. I was just going to say, I don't know what this is. Blaze and Santiago Sports, they have a beef
from the basketball game.
Oh, is it just a joke, or is it for real?
I don't know. All I saw was a clip of Santiago throwing a basketball at the back of Blaze's head. So I don't know the backstory on it. I think someone swung an elbow or something.
I haven't met either of these guys in person, so I've
met Santiago before. I've met Blaze.
I've never met either one. I've never been on a live stream with either one either, so I wouldn't be able to say. All right.
The other thing I've been buying a lot is wax. I've spent so much on wax the last 2 months.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, are you going more? I know you've been buying like Pokemon and some Magic. Are you focused more on that than the sports stuff, or kind of both?
I mean, I've been buying some baseball product like Topps Chrome Sapphire and stuff like that, but I've spent more on Pokemon and Magic than mostly Pokemon than anything else.
Ziggy, what's going on? COMC is great in the past, never more than one company. Why would they offer all four? I would say they would want to offer all four just to make collectors / speculators happy as a added service on the site, but that's just me. I wonder who made the deal happen, COMC or CSG. Yeah, I don't know who initiated, which side of it. As a person in Canada, 100% agree with Neo that the COMC CSG deal simplifies grading a lot for international folks. Yeah, absolutely. So is that because international folks, it's not easy for them to send direct? Is that
I think it's the shipping costs. I think it's literally the ship. I mean, he Simon could comment, he would know better than I would, but I believe it just comes down to the shipping costs, because you have to pay like a ton to send it, and then you have to pay a ton to get it back,
and duties and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Hobby Champ, Blaze, man, Blaze is getting all sorts of heat. I just don't know him. I don't know him to be able to.
I don't know him at all. I've never met him.
I wouldn't be able to throw any sort of opinion out there. Grading through COMC is a game changer for us international collectors. Yeah, that seems to be the feedback. It's been a hot topic. I know I've had comments as well where it's like, man, I really wish COMC would do grading. So good stuff. What's good, Jordan? Hit the like button. Thank you, Michael Ham. Don't know why people are hating on it. Sounds like just trying to pick on the nerds. Yeah, I don't know. Brian, Sure Bowl Stadium. Guys, I can't read. Sure Bowl Stadium out here really getting dressed up for lots of events and partying.
It probably meant to be Super Bowl. And
the Super Bowl is going to be in Arizona. Is that what he's saying? Buy or sell TB12 right now. The current hype price spike makes me want to sell, but kind of feel that since he's the GOAT and maybe worth holding on to most of them. That's always kind of the tricky part. Neo always says you can buy them back. I mean, Tom Brady has a lot of cards, so it's kind of like, it's not as if they're finite. I mean, he's got 20 plus years of cards to choose from. So I don't know. What do you guys think about TB12 stuff?
I mean, we saw this play out last year. He retired, his stuff spiked, and then it immediately came back down again. Then he announced he was coming back, and it went lower. So
I guess too, you have to think.
Roadmap.
Do you think it's still coming back down off of highs, that we saw over the last couple of years? That's kind of the big thing with a lot of these.
Yeah, and it'll probably get a temporary spike because of this, and then probably go right back down again. I mean, most likely.
Michael Ham misses the hot chicken. Michael Ham, are you going to the National this year? And did you go to Atlanta? I didn't see a video about Atlanta, so I don't know if you did go to that one. Yeah, Super Bowl Stadium. Okay.
I talked to a few dealers in Atlanta. They said Friday was slow, but they said Saturday was insanely busy.
That's what I heard too. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, I don't get it. I mean, you have like, the macroeconomic stuff. The economy is a little bit shaky, but it doesn't seem to be stopping people from getting out to shows. I mean, I don't know. I've been waiting, I guess, not anticipating it, but I thought that there would be some sort of vlog about, hey, this show is completely dead or whatever in January, February, and just haven't seen that yet. I don't know.
My local show, I was at my local 50 table show on Saturday, and it's the busiest I've seen it in a year. As soon as I got there, it opened at 9. I got there at 9:30, and I had to park like way further back than normal. And I'm like, and it's like a venue that's the only thing going on there that day. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here today? Like, what is happening?
Well, let's talk about the National. Yeah, no, I don't get. And the other thing with the National, I mean, 2 years ago, so going back 2 years is when they, basically a year and a half when they had it in Chicago, Rosemont area last time. I didn't book my hotel until February, and I had the choice of every single hotel on that strip in February. And now it's February, and there's like nothing left. So it's like, and this was a year and a half. This was coming right out of the pandemic where people were itching to get out. It was the first National in a couple of years. And now we're supposedly, card market stinks and all this and that and whatever. And this National is like jamming. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. What do you guys think?
That was because I think, what was that, like 2 months ago? Like, it was like before Christmas. You DM me and you're like, what hotel are you staying in? And I was like, the same one we stayed in last time. And you were like, it's booked. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's booked. It's December. And to your point, I don't think I booked that room last time until like February or March. And now I looked the other day because I talked about it in a video. You search like Google hotels for that week, and it's like a ghost town for anything close. I don't know. Steve, you've been poking around. Have you booked? You have not booked yet, right?
I haven't, because here is the dilemma. I was going to book last night, and I texted Dustin to see where he was going to be at. And he texted me back this morning. And then he also gave me a circumstance. And Michael Ham's calling me, and we were thinking about booking together. So I'm like, well, I need to get a definitive answer from Dustin, because I don't know what's going on with that situation that you texted.
Well, the problem is, right now. So my wife is coming with me as of now. The problem is I won't know until literally like a few weeks out, because my sister-in-law is going to have a baby right around the time of the National. And so I'm going to find out last second. And And we've just got one king, Steve. So it might be a little awkward for you. I mean, it might be a traumatizing experience, but we can make it work if we get desperate.
Well, last year Brad booked the room, remember?
Yeah.
And Brad and I had a room, and he booked it so far away because he wanted to save on money. But the money that we saved on the room, we probably spent triple fold on Uber rides. So I was like,
right,
because we had to ride, we weren't in walking distance. So it was like, damn, man, every trade night, every this, that. I mean, it was almost, for me, last year was almost like Atlantic City was this year. I wasn't within walking distance of everything like you guys were. So I had to get an Uber, or I didn't taxi, I Ubered everywhere. So it was like this hotel, that hotel, this time of night, this time of day. I was all over riding a lot. So it was like, should have just paid a little extra money and been closer to the venue.
Sorry, Steve. When are you coming in this time, Dustin? Thursday again, or?
Yes. Yeah,
I think I'm Wednesday this year for the first time.
Well, because isn't the trade night Thursday night?
Usually, they haven't formally announced anything yet, but
yeah,
this will be the first time I'll be there on Wednesday.
Yeah, I want to be there for the trade night, so I'll come in on Thursday and then probably fly out on Sunday. That's usually what we, or that's what we did last time.
I drive, so 6 hours. It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I see Filmington's in chat. We'll have the big Filmington party. That should be a fun one this year.
Oh yeah, the Filmington party. That was actually fun. Going back 2 years ago. Yeah, that was a good. Or was it last?
If you're invited.
Well, last year. Yeah, yeah, exactly. If I'm invited.
Well, both years we went in Chicago too.
Hey,
that's right. We did.
There's too many collectors.
Steve was there in Chicago, but he was interviewed by Merle for 3 hours, so we didn't get a chance to hang out with him.
That was Merlin before he was Merlin and Great Curator. That was like, who is this guy?
Merlin before Merlin.
Merlin before Merlin's like, who is this guy walking around interviewing everybody?
Yeah, right. But there's too many collectors at the Filmington party, Dustin.
Right. Hey, don't get me in there, Steve. Watch yourself.
Hey,
that's a different sort of hot tub.
Yeah,
watch start some trouble. Hey, I don't have 5,000 subscribers, man. I got a bone to pick with you.
I'm going right to Ziggy's.
I don't qualify.
I'm going right to Ziggy's comments. Are any of you going to Philly? What? I can't hear you. Are you going to Philly or Chantilly? So might be going to Philly. So that's in March. I might be going up staying with Steve, and then we go to Philly show in March, but still trying to work that one out. And then Chantilly, yes, planning to go to that one. That's the one that's at the end of June, if that's the one you mean.
What's the date of the Philly show?
Like March 13th or something weekend?
10, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's like the 10th. Because I was like
early March.
So yeah, I'm like Dustin, man. I think it's the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I was like,
I'd like to try to go to that, but I don't know if I can swing it or not.
I'm going to make.
I think that's a 7-hour drive, 6.5 hour drive for me, Philly.
Why is everything a 6-hour drive from you, Rob?
like so high. I don't know what else you want me to.
San Diego, it's about a 6 hour drive, I think. Yeah.
Hey, next year you guys will be coming to me. Cleveland's a national the Nationals in Cleveland next year.
Yeah.
I thought Dustin was going to come for a week, man. I was like, man, you come for the week. We'll go to the show like 2 days, and then we will go to the beaches, and then I'll have a party at the house with the karaoke.
He's like, we're gonna have a karaoke party with 30 people.
And then last time I talked to Dustin, he's like, I think I'll be there for like 2 days. I'm like, what? I'm like, 2 days? That's not enough to do anything.
Yeah. I'm like, Steve forgot to have 4 kids and a dog. Like he's like, what? You can't stay for 12 days? I don't understand.
You have kids, a dog, a job, a wife.
Right, exactly. EPAC to COMC to CSG Smart. It's just like collectors, but I don't like collectors, so I don't see PSA working with COMC. I just hope that I think it would be great to have the options for customers. At least it's there if you need it. I don't know how much it'll be used, but it'll be there.
I'm surprised you're not actively brokering the SGC COMC partnership behind closed doors, or maybe you are.
You never know. No, I'm not, but I think that it would be good for all 4, not just one. Even if it was SGC, I think it'd be great for it to be all 4. All right, nerds, is Bleds going live with AIH? I don't know. I think that.
That's tonight. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so. Cool. 100% cost, $60 plus US for. Oh, okay, it's a cost for international. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. You a real one? I know everybody says the thing that's hilarious. I'm not going to get political, but every time there's an election, everybody's moving to Canada. And then when I hear all the taxes that are in Canada for shipping and all this and that and whatever, I'm like, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. But anyway, the Brian Gray Super CEO card sale ended last night. Final print run 159. I bought 158 of those, and Brian got one. AIH, what's going on, Raul? Good to see you. Which TD football is worth $500,000 now? Hey. What will it be worth in 30 years? Who knows? $5 or $5 million? They should do power slap to settle sports card beefs. I think viewership is really like focused more on content creator death matches than they are on cards nowadays. It's just like, you know what? Let's just get into the basketball game where people are throwing the ball at each other. Swaggle Haas, what's going on?
Oh,
Hope to meet Swaggle Haas at a comic book show at some point. And Rob, we should go. Didn't you go to like New York Comic-Con? That would be like, I want to hit a Comic-Con.
I went to New York. You should go to, I told you last year, you should have went to Heroes Con. I'm planning on going to that again. Charlotte. Yeah, that's easy for you.
When is that one?
I don't know if they've announced dates. I think that was like June last year. It was around the same time that you guys went to that Raleigh show, I think.
Okay, I'm definitely going to.
Because remember, we were like real confused on what weekend the card show was versus the comic book show because you were maybe going to try to come.
Yes,
I like that show a lot. I was talking to my wife earlier. We were kind of like, "Hey, do you want to do this again this year?" You know, and Charlotte is 100% on our radar. Once again, it's an easy drive. It's about 6.5 hours.
It's a 6-hour drive. New Zealand, about a 6-hour drive. No big deal.
Yeah, that was a good time. I really like downtown Charlotte. That was the first time I like really hung out.
Charlotte's a nice town. My brother-in-law lives there. Yeah,
New York City Comic-Con was a blast. More so just for the like pomp and circumstance of it all. Like you're not going there to make deals because everything's overpriced, but that's potentially on my radar again to go. That was a lot of fun.
At some point down the road, I want to go to San Diego Comic-Con like one time in my life just to experience it because it's like the Super Bowl of Comic-Cons, right?
This was me kind of scratching that itch because this is like the AFC NFC championship of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And I don't know, San Diego is just so expensive.
So I'll hit this. I can hit this comment for him.
Steve, all you, brother.
Well, so right now I'm really looking into a lot of younger quarterbacks. I guess from 2019 to now, guys start to fade out. If they're any older than that, I actually hit you guys with a Instagram message. Was it yesterday? And I was like, why do I feel like Jalen Hurts cards are cheap in comparison to what Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert cards are still selling for? Because I was looking at a lot of auctions ending. So like I said, I'm eyeing up quarterbacks right now. Not specifically those guys, but I am trying to get a feel for what I should be paying for a quarterback based on some of what the other prices are going for.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Jalen Hurts seems to be selling for 50% to 2/3 of what Justin Herbert and Burrow are selling for. And those guys are done, right? They're done this year. And Jalen Hurts is in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. So today I get up and I start looking, and Hurts stuff is starting to break through now. I see contenders and things like that. I don't know what is in your graded card collection. And if it's a collection, like you say there, is it a collection as in you bought the collection or it's your collection? So if it's your collection, you decide what you want to do with it. If you're trying to do what's best for you, turning a profit, I would honestly look to move off those, at least some of them, get some of your money back, because, the build is always better than the final result, right? Even if he wins the Super Bowl, the build up to the Super Bowl. Once he wins the Super Bowl, 10 minutes after it happens in the card world, it's old news. Mm-hmm. And will actually probably create a buying window for a week or two, probably on the guys that were in the Super Bowl. And there's already been a window for other players, if that's what you've been looking for, usually as soon as someone's eliminated. And there will be people that are going to do like I'm doing right now. They'll start stacking up some young quarterbacks because they know what happens at the National and things like that. You want to be ahead of the rest of them. So you'll start to see mid-February, because people starting earlier every year, mid-February, March, quarterbacks will start to level out. and will start to cost money again. So my take would be, if I was sitting on a stack of Jalen Hurts, I would at least sell a couple of them heading into this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wonder with Jalen Hurts, just kind of from the narrative side, if you look at like a Burrow, Mahomes, even a Herbert, to me, it's like those guys have to lead their team. They've kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Whereas like Jalen Hurts plays on a very dominant team this year, and this is kind of his breakout year. And again, maybe Jalen Hurts is that next guy, and maybe he is, going to win multiple titles and all that. But this year, he happens to play on a really dominant team. He's got a great offensive line. Joe Burrow has gotten where he is without a great offensive line. He does have Jamar Chase. He's got Higgins. So he's got weapons. But, the defense is good. But like the Eagles have just put it all together this year, where Jalen Hurts is on an amazing team. And if Jalen Hurts is, that's always the thing in football. It's the ultimate team game. If these guys are not on the amazing team and they have to, kind of carry it themselves. And I guess that's what we'll find out. Is the game going to come down to Jalen Hurts making that game-winning drive? And I think that's going to be a lot of, and to me, that would be the hesitation with like a Hurts over like a Mahomes or a Burrow. What do you think,
Rob? This is actually, I had this video recorded to go out today, and then the COMC stuff happened, so I pushed it to Friday. I did like a price breakdown deep dive on all ultra modern quarterbacks, because it was something that Steve had mentioned it, and then I noticed it too when I was talking about, I think it was like Josh Allen prices going down, and like I was just glancing and I'm like, wait, why is Hurts so cheap? The one that really stuck out to me was like Jordan Love sells for like 50% of Hurts. And that just seemed wild. Like Jordan Love, as of right now, isn't even the starting quarterback. He could be by tomorrow, potentially, or whenever Rodgers gets traded, if he does. But like the fact that he was selling even remotely close to Hurts was like, what are we doing? Like, what is happening right now? But yeah, he gets no respect. I haven't looked at his prices today, so they may have already, Steve said they started creeping back up again.
Yeah, I watched two identical cards, same set, same serial number. 3-color RPA on card auto of Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts sell yesterday. Auctions ended at about the same time, and the Justin Herbert pulled almost $1,500, and the Jalen Hurts went for $660. And I'm like, Justin Herbert is done for the year, and Jalen Hurts is headed to the Super Bowl. Now, everybody is down on Justin Herbert. Like I see Mike Petty's comment way down there. Justin Herbert is here for the long haul. He's had more good seasons than he's had bad seasons. Now, I know he hasn't had many seasons, but he's had more good seasons. And if you're looking at this season as a bad season, he was second in the NFL in passing yards, I do believe. His touchdowns were down to 25. He only had 10 interceptions. So he was efficient. And he was without a lot of his weapons most of the season. When the Chargers went on the run is when they had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both healthy at the same time, is when the Chargers really. So all quarterbacks do depend on their weapons to be there. He didn't play very well in the playoffs, and that's the last thing that people remember, because that's the last time people saw him on the field. So the Jacksonville loss is going to have a bitter taste in people's mouth. But he's a good player. Not only one quarterback can win the Super Bowl, and it's not always the best player that wins it. So more times than not, it's not the best player. I mean, a lot of people will say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, but he has won Super Bowl, right? He has won one, but he's also lost one, and he's missed out on a few. We'll see what happens in 2 weeks. But again, it's like Dan Marino never won one, but it's always a asterisk on his legacy. But he was such a great player that he's still always grouped in the top quarterbacks of all time, even without his championship. Do I think Justin Herbert's Dan Marino? I can't say that. And I'm a Dan Marino fan. But, when you look at a lot of the other quarterbacks, it's like, what else do they have to do? Joe Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to AFC Championship. Josh Allen's been to AFC Championships. So a lot of these guys have kind of may have hit their career peak. We don't know. Maybe they finally do get over the mountain one of these times. But Josh Allen's kind of becoming the guy who is losing to everyone. He's the one losing to Joe Burrow. He's the one losing to Patrick Mahomes. But it doesn't take anything away from the player that he is, right? With too much
John Elway of today.
Right. And too many times we say, oh, Josh Allen, lost, but the Bills lost, right? It's a team game. Football, more so than any sport out there, is a consummate team game. But the focus does go on the quarterbacks. That's why they're the ones collected and valued and things like that from a monetary standpoint. But there is opportunity on just forgotten guys. And I wouldn't go run and say out and buy Justin Herbert and buy Joe Burrow for the same reason I just said. Justin Herbert prices are still really high, even after the playoff loss. Your opportunity is in the guys who still haven't gotten their opportunity. And when they do get their opportunity, I mean, look what Brock Purdy did. You know what I mean? He got an opportunity, and look what happened. And look what happened to his card prices. He got injured. That's unfortunate. You can't predict injuries. But, when I'm looking to buy cards that have potential, I'm looking to limit my risk and get some players that aren't already making deep playoff runs and haven't had a lot built into their cards, but do have potential if opportunity is given.
Yeah, I mean, if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, does that mean that, Hurts is a better QB than Mahomes? No, it doesn't. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. And Marino, is one of those guys. He lost the Super Bowl. He was probably the better QB. He was better. It's tough. And because QBs are the ones that really are the ones that are collected, as you said. So it's a tough one. It's tough. Can't wait for the AIH After Hours. Yep, that's coming on. I think actually that stream is on in about 15 minutes or so. So just wait till the end of this when you can catch up on Raul's later.
Oh, and Mike Petty, yes, I believe Dan Fouts was great. I never really got to see him play, but I've seen vintage tape, and I do remember growing up watching Dan Marino in the 80s and the 90s. Every time he would break a record, it always seemed like he was breaking a Dan Fouts record, or Dan Fouts was right there with him, was one of the guys he was always passing. So, yeah, even though I didn't get to see him play, I'm going to guess Dan Fouts was a great quarterback based on his statistics. And he was playing in the era pre-passing era. That's when teams were running the ball. So for a quarterback to do the things that he was doing then, he's ahead of his time.
Yeah, that's the thing where you can't compare today's QBs to yesterday's because the game is so damn different. If Dan Marino was playing in today's NFL, he would be lighting the world on fire. But anyway, Chat GPT questions about cards. Have you guys tried this thing out yet? I have not. I've seen like little blips of it, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for writing YouTube video descriptions.
Have you used it?
Oh yeah.
Oh damn. Okay. Well,
I don't even know what it is.
It's a chat AI bot. It's pretty sophisticated.
Oh, okay.
I haven't asked it who to invest in or anything crazy like that because I don't think it can answer those sorts of questions. But if you have, it's great for YouTube backend stuff.
Actually, maybe that solves all this. All you do is you ask the Chat GPT, who do I invest in for whatever invest in for cards, and it spits it out, and you just report on it, and you say, hey, it's not me, it's the damn robot. I'm just telling you what the robot said.
Yeah. It's wild stuff though. You could be like vague about a video. Like I need a video description for something with like a slant towards this, and then it just spits out like a paragraph, and you're like, it's actually pretty good. You just copy and paste it.
All right, we got to pull up Dex, long timer Dex. I didn't read this before I threw it up, so hopefully it's not too bad here. I just threw it up on the screen. You paid $10, it's going up on the screen regardless. Who needs Madcap Brad off center 2.9 with the OG3? Yeah, Dex, this is going all the way back. This is like the 2020 crew. The Delaware Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Flippin, and North Ohio Freaking Cards and Comics. Thank you, Dex. Hope that you are well, man. Hope that you are well. At the Omni and go to a Padres game when you're in San Diego. Mike, good to see you. Mike is always telling me how dumb I am every time I mention a modern card, and I like it. He always comes at me with vintage stuff because he's got a mean vintage collection, and that's fine. I love it. Have you guys had a card damaged by PSA? Happened to me today. They offered me a very low value, which I'm going to counter. Any advice? Does anyone have any advice here?
Never had that happen. I would just show them current comps for whatever the card is, if there is any. And if I would push on the. I mean, I don't know if it was like a vintage card or assuming it's ultra modern, I'd be pushing them saying, how did you know it wouldn't grade a 10 without the damage, and try to get a PSA 10 comp, at least if it's modern or ultra modern.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
I've just never had it happen. I had a card returned one time that had damage on it, and I couldn't 100% say it was caused by the grading company. It might have just been something that I missed. I'm usually very thorough, but humans make mistakes. And that's why, a third-party opinion by a human or a third party handling your cards.
There you have it. And I think, I was going to say too, on that front, it's just anytime. I think that the tricky part is you've got declared value. So you send it in, you're declaring the value, and you're only going to be covered. From my understanding is are you only covered for what you declare? Is that correct?
It's the way that I typically understand. I've never personally had an issue.
Yeah.
That's why you want to be as accurate as possible on the declared value, because when stuff like this goes wrong, that's when it really becomes important.
It's kind of it's a chicken or the egg, because it's like if it gets a 9, it's probably X, and if it gets a 10, then it's Y, and it's a huge amount, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen too often. You have to show them comps to prove it's more than their valuation. Okay. I've said that too on videos. Whoever does valuations on cards, how do you do it? I mean, unless you're talking about very common stuff, but there's so many different parallels and different things. It's not very easy to comp stuff out nowadays. Not easy at all.
I know. I just had, because I have a PSA order on its way back to me now, and it was $15 order, which is a $200 declared value, and I probably have at least 2 cards in there that are $500, $500 to $600, and I didn't get upcharged. Yeah.
So you're just kind of rolling the dice. All goes well, and
if they 9, they would have been perfectly fine. But the fact that they 10, well, one 9 and it's still over the value, but the other one 10 and it would put it over the value easily. And I was expecting, as soon as it hit QA2, I was like, every time I got an email, like a marketing email, and saw PSA in the title, I thought it was going to be the upcharge email.
PSA old holder and the new holder took a PSA 3 Honus Wagner, and it jammed in the case sideways. Okay. I mean, with how many cards they're grading, there's just got to, I mean, it's just bound to happen at some point. There's just, I mean, 1 million cards a month is wild.
They cracked I don't know if you saw the gem rate data came out right before we went live. They cracked 1 million again.
I did see that. I did. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, again, I kind of thought that those numbers would slow a little bit. I didn't think they would drop, significantly, but to still be 1 million plus, especially when I remember Nat saying that really the goal for them is to hit 50,000 cards a day. So if you've got 20 business days, assuming, weekends, they're pretty much hitting what their capacity. If that's what I don't know if that's his goal and what he wants, or if that's how many they can actually do. But yeah, it's incredible. I'm sure. So is your video on that coming out tomorrow?
Yeah, I recorded it right before we went live.
Yeah. I'll probably throw something out there too. Not tomorrow.
Yeah, I just scrapped my last video because of Dustin.
What? You scrapped?
Yeah, it was just a mail day, right? But I started off the video like walking to the mailbox, and walking to the mailbox, I was giving my whole thoughts on your Hall of Fame video, and then Ziggy's response to your Hall of Fame video. And I came back in, and then that's how I also led off my video talking about that a little bit. And I was like, okay, now let's get into the mail day cards. Then I edited it and everything. And I was like, I'll upload this tomorrow. And then the next day before I upload it, you had a video out resending your video. And I'm like, well, shit.
So
Dustin's video's gone. The whole thing I was mentioning in the beginning of my video is gone. So
did you react to my rescission? Did you react to my rescission? That's where you should have just reacted to that.
Nope.
Oh, man.
I said, you know what? Screw all this bull crap. I'm going to throw on a Bruce Springsteen song and show everybody my Cal Ripken Project 2027.
Poor Steve gets one video out like every 2 weeks, and then Dustin has to go ruin the one that he puts a bunch of time and effort into.
Man.
Oh, as much as I want to just double down and talk more on this topic, John Wolf comes in hot with a lot of people in the red when Herbert's career ends up like Phillip Rivers. I mean, fair. And actually, Phillip Rivers had a really good career. That's the tricky part with most of these guys is Phillip Rivers had I mean, if you're just looking at breaking it down, I don't know if he's probably not a Hall of Famer, but he's borderline as far as stats and everything. He put up a ton of numbers. He was a really solid QB, But yeah, I definitely hear you, John. We'll
Probably
see.
90% of cards and 90% of players will be worth less once they retire than they are during their playing time, regardless of what kind of career they put together, good or bad. So you can apply this statement to pretty much anything. I mean, look at Tom Brady. He's about to retire. He's the GOAT, right? His cards are going down slightly. They might see a retirement spike, but they've been going down. So it all depends on what you buy at. I mean, you just can't buy at astronomical prices and expect them to hold up over a long period of time, even if that person is the best player in the league.
Yeah, there's like maybe one guy a generation that actually will break that mold. You know, like it was for basketball, you know, it was Jordan stuff. And then it kind of, you know, Kobe, now probably LeBron. And then it's kind of like everyone's trying to guess who the next guy is. And there's like 10 of them. And maybe if you're lucky, one of those guys will be one that might actually truly hold some value after they're done playing.
It's like transcendence. Like, even if you apply this same statement to vintage cards, there's lots of I'm just saying there's lots of players that have been great through all the years of sports, and only some of them currently still are considered good long-term investments that continue to gain value every year. You know, Jim Brown's in football, you know, Mickey Mantle and things like that. But look at great players like a Frank Robinson, who I liked, who won MVPs in both leagues, first African-American to be a manager, career, you know, 500 home runs. You know, he did a lot of things. I think he won World Series in both. And nobody talks about him, right? Great player, great. You go to Wikipedia and read his list of accomplishments and go look at the values of his cards. So, you know, it's very few players that tend to transcend generations that you still talk about. People buying Jim Brown cards and Mickey Mantle cards right now didn't see those guys play. A majority of them didn't get to see those guys play, but they're still buying their cards. So if you didn't get to see Frank Robinson play, you don't have any idea how good he was. So unless you go research it.
I'm buying Barry Bonds stuff just in the case that in 20, 30 years, the hobby is celebrating those PED players. I want to be on top of that. I want to be way ahead of that game. Honestly, though, with Barry Bonds, I don't understand. I'll never understand. I'm not a baseball guy, so I know people will say like, hey, you don't follow baseball, you don't get it. And that's probably fine. That's perfectly fine to say. But regardless, he still owns big time records. To me, he was a Hall of Famer if you're looking at just kind of stats before he got into PEDs. Now, granted, I don't know when exactly he got into it, but if you kind of break down when he was smaller Barry Bonds and then larger Barry Bonds, he was still a hell of a player. I think he would have gotten in anyway if he had never done anything.
And Mike,
I feel like it really matters because all those, like that whole era, like how much of the league was on something that, you know, just because they didn't test positive for it.
Same with Clemens. Roger Clemens, another guy.
I love Clemens. I mean
I've been looking at Clemens stuff. I've been looking at Randy Johnson. I've been looking at Clemens. Those are just guys that I remember that were so
good. These guys in your life.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I've been buying. I just bought another one of his cards yesterday. It came in the mail. I got this. I've been buying a lot of Manny Ramirez stuff lately.
Oh, he's an Indian though, right? He was an Indian.
Yeah. Indian and Red Sox, but like he has probably one of the best hitters ever. And then he's got the, you know, the steroid taint on him.
And Mike, who was the vintage guy, come in with a comment that said, yeah, but Frank Robinson cards have never gone down 90%. And that's probably correct. And again, I'm not bashing Frank Robinson. I love him. I buy his Hall of Fame autos because they're cheap, and I'm an Orioles fan. But most of the time when you're buying cards for potential gain, you're not buying a card because it's not going to go down. You're buying a card in hopes that it's going to go up. So yeah, you can buy that card and it's not going to go down, but what's going to cause it to go up? What's going to be the catalyst for Frank Robinson to go up? I mean, I believe he's already passed away. So it's like, is there a catalyst for Frank Robinson cards?
Mike, that's just mean. Booby Sherbert, come on. You can do better than that.
Yeah, well, you may be able to buy a rookie of his for $500. 5 years from now, it still might be $500. Could be $600. You don't know, but it's not going to triple, quadruple in price based on something that may happen in his career.
Yeah,
and it's not going to crash because of something that might happen in his career.
They've got runway too. I mean, there's a lot of years to go, assuming they stay healthy and stay in the league. But I mean, Herbert's got time. He's a young guy. Josh Allen. The problem though is just coming off the big boom and those guys, pricing coming back off of the crazy spike to a level where it can actually start gaining ground.
And not even particularly any certain player. It's just modern cards are going to have more volatility, whether that's reward or whether that's risk and loss. They're going to have more risk or they're going to have more reward, especially in a shorter period of time, because things are currently happening with these guys. Does that make it right? Does that mean that's what you should be trying to buy and flip? It doesn't. Everybody does something different. I love the older stuff, but I got to pay for the older stuff. I got to try to hit on a prospect to pay for the older stuff, to fund my stuff that I like to buy, to fund my Larry Birds, to fund my Cal Ripkins and things like that.
And honestly, vintage card collector kind of what made me think of this thought right here, the 81 graded a 10. If I had huge money and I was actually serious about investing in cards and I had real money to spend, I would get a lot of these 10 grades of the Joe Montana rookie card, the Jerry Rice, because a lot of folks say, hey, these are pop controlled, they're not, but I don't necessarily think that they're pop controlled, but I do think that grading companies are certainly getting probably 5 different opinions from their top graders when they think they've got a 10, and they probably err on the side of caution and go with a 9 or 9.5, depending on the company a lot of times. And in vintage stuff, there is a massive difference between a 10 grade. I mean, Jim Brown doesn't even have a 10 grade. I think he's got like 5 9s, or something. He doesn't even have a 10. So, I mean, high grade vintage would, if I was, Bezos and just spending serious money coming in, that's where I would park it.
I mean, I still want the 52 tops maze. A Mantle I'm not going to be able to touch, but I have some higher end modern stuff that I might be able to move at the National, because at the National it'll be popular and what people are looking for, and I can be like, boom, take this, and I'm your Willie Mays card, and I'll throw a little bit of cash on top, right? So
that's a sweet card.
That's just my plan. I don't want to come 100% out of pocket for something that I may be able to level up into, for lack of a better term.
Is that your number one chase for the National this year? Or at least
I've just been chasing that card period. I mean, if I go to Philly and come across a good deal on one, or Chantilly, they're there. It's not like it's a super rare card to find, but you want to have it graded for authenticity purposes, and you want it to have good eye appeal. And sometimes when you're looking around at certain grades, it doesn't have the eye appeal that you want. And to buy that card and anything above a 2 is really going to set you back. I see 3s selling for probably close to $20K. And I believe that card is still a card that's gradually going up. Like, I feel like when I was looking at this card 6 months ago, it was cheaper than it is now. So again, when you look at vintage of people who transcend eras and still get talked about today, yes, that is the way to go. But there are players that are great players, but they were great players in their era and they didn't transcend.
I'm going to get definitely a Bart Starr rookie card this summer. That's the one card I'm coming out of the summer with, whether it's at the National or Chantilly or online or whatever. I'm going to get one. I've noticed more of them pop up. I don't know if people have just been sitting on them and now decide. I don't know. I've just noticed more of them come up for auction or just bins, that have popped up online. So it's kind of interesting. But that's the one big vintage card that I'm focused on. Kyle Trask, is he ready to make a splash? Am I kind of ruining one of the guys you've been going after, Steve?
No. In my opinion, if you don't already own your Kyle Trask cards, it's too late, right? Because what's the one thing that people need? They need hype, a buzz, and opportunity. He just got all 3 on Tom Brady's retirement, and the Bucs are liable to go out and sign a veteran and bring him in the offseason. And now if you go out and buy Kyle Trask while he's peaking for 3 reasons, and then he doesn't even start, and then if he does start, he has to perform. So we saw what Tom Brady did with that Bucs team this year. Is Kyle Trask going to be able to do better with that team than Tom Brady did? I would bet against that. But, if you had him right now, it's probably the time to move him. And if you feel like gambling a little bit, then hold one or two and sell one or two.
Yeah, there's going to be
selling Kyle Trask if you have him right now.
The QB carousel this offseason is going to be interesting. Aaron Rodgers supposedly out. Where's Jimmy Garoppolo going to play? Where's is Trey Lance, Brock Purdy? I guess Purdy might be out for the year with Tommy John. So I guess
Tommy John's not as big a deal in football as it is.
Oh,
normally.
okay.
I think it's a 6-month injury, so he could potentially be back, like right at the start of training camp. In baseball, that's like a huge deal. In football, it's a deal, but it's not like a death sentence like it is in baseball.
Yeah, my Saints need a QB. Andy Dalton, he was fine, but I assume we're probably either going to draft. I hope we draft the guy out of Tennessee, the guy that tore his ACL. I think is it Hooker, his last name? Hooks? The Tennessee QB. He's good, but he tore his ACL. So I think he is like a late first rounder potentially, or
college
maybe
player. Okay.
Yeah. University of Tennessee. He tore his ACL, but I mean, if they were going to take one just to take a shot at a guy, I would be happy with that guy. He was good. Now, can he translate over to the pro game? I don't know about that. Anyone catch that PSA 7 Brown rookie card ended on eBay at 5,600? That does sound a little bit low. I mean, there are no PSA 10s for that one, but I don't know the market on Brown 7s. So
yeah, I don't look that high on my Jim Brown auction search.
Yeah, that's out of my range, Sean. But yeah,
I know, like I have the pair of 3s that I got last year. These are down to like $800 or $900 now, I think.
Really? Like $800?
Yeah, these are like.
Oh man, it's time for me to snag one of those. Damn.
Yeah, I got.
That
these
seems like good.
I got these for around $1,500 each last year, and they're down to like $900.
I noticed the same. I don't even want to say there's a star. There's a PSA 6 Bart Star that I think is sitting on eBay for like $1,600, and they were a lot more than that at the National when I was there. So I've been eyeballing that one. The problem is though, is I like at the National, there would be some that look very similar, but eye appeal being so important, and there's surface stuff that you can't really like. You can't see it on eBay like you can in person, and that's really the tricky thing. It might be a 6, but it also there might be some things that aren't great about it. And I only want one copy, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant buying it online. But I don't know. We'll see.
You can see it in Steve's face right now. He's on eBay. I can see the Jim Brown.
Oh no, I'm not. I looked at eBay earlier. There was one auction ending. Or
Steve just went and bought the Bart Star that I was just talking about, and he's going to sell it back to me in 6 months. That'll probably be what happens.
What he usually does.
That's Steve's.
You guys usually do a deal every National.
Steve's hot tub was paid for by Neo and Dustin profits. All right, class 79. Elway graduated in 78. He would warm up at the 50-yard line on his knees, throwing the ball through the goalpost 65, 70 yards on. Yeah, Elway had a monster arm. I remember when he came out. There's high school footage of him throwing absolute bombs. I can believe that. And then I put it on, I think it was IG, but Dan Marino throwing it like 40 yards downfield behind his back for a touchdown in practice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me try to get caught up, guys. We are going to wrap it up here pretty soon. We hit the hour mark, and I am not I'm not Neo, and these guys do long time streams. I'm probably going to jump off in about 10, 15 minutes. So if there's any final thoughts you want to throw into the chat, please do so, and we will try to cover them. Hello, everyone. Which grading company can you trust? I bet you send that same to all the graders. You'll get back different grades from all of them. That could be true. That very well could be true. You're just paying for an opinion. Doesn't matter if you send it to Billy Bob's grading company, PSA, SGC, doesn't really matter. Buy all the T. Lance cards now. The T. Lance, you're throwing me off a little bit, Mike. You just combined 2 players now that Lou Brock is out for 2 years. Okay, yeah. You did it on purpose. All right. I'm trying to read them first so I don't throw some wacky thing that Mike's put up here. It's more than I paid for my 51 Mantle. Mike's always flexing the fact that he bought his vintage way before prices ever moved up. We get it. All right. Love you too. Okay. Vegas Pines claimed his Jordan rookie got damaged by SGC. I did. I saw that. I was going to reach out to him. I was going to reach out to him too, and I haven't had a chance to reach out to him, but I'm going to reach out to him and ask him about that. Potential offer to buy a really cool Elway. It was a signed program to his first game. I know you aren't buying, but how about consolidating your less desirable cards to get a grail? That's what I did. That's my problem, though, is I don't have any less desirable cards. But you're right. I think, I mean, I could take a bunch of stuff, package it up, and get into something to get into grails. What I did do, actually talking to Steve about this, and also Chris, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, they use DC Sports 87. I went to them I had slabs that were anywhere from like 10 to $100, and I probably went 40 or 50 slabs through them and had a very good experience. So I have been kind of getting rid of some of that lower end stuff that's just kind of, I don't give a damn about it, just getting rid of it. So consolidating a little bit, but like all the Hall of Fame auto type stuff that I collect, I just really like that stuff. So I don't have the, I guess I'm struggling to do I want to move a bunch of stuff to get into one particular card? Maybe, but not yet, not right now. But
you got to build up the fun money pile, the fake money pile, so then when something comes up, you can.
That's right. That's what I'm working on.
You got to sell some stuff, Dustin. You got to let the children run a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll never see them again, though. Then they'll be gone. I can't get them back.
That's not true. Some really good YouTubers said they let you buy them back.
Sell them. What do you care? You're not a collector. Shit. Sell them.
You're just an evil investor flipper anyway.
Sell them.
What do you have emotional attachment?
You're money hungry.
All right. What's up, Mark? How are we doing?
Hold on. Here's Dustin's PC right here.
Oh my God. You guys are.
Hey, look. I got my old high school football helmet. This is when I used to kick for the Dolphins.
The Ray Finkel helmet. Nice.
The old duck bill. Mark Duper wore one of these like his whole career, and he was a wide receiver.
I had a Nolan Gorman franchise fave gold refractor on card auto number to 50. Originally asking 500 on my slabs, only got a few views. I later lowered the price to 160, sold it off today. Yeah, price point is everything with collectibles. Absolutely everything. Judson is. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say some of the news that I heard coming out of some of the shows is that dealers, sellers, vendors, whatever, are starting to come off some of their prices. They're starting to be more realistic. They're starting to take the loss that they didn't want to take. Some of them that are in. I'm not going to say all, but I am hearing that prices have become way more negotiable now. My experience on eBay over the past week and a half is make offers. You see a lot of these buy it now prices, and people buy it nows are always like astronomically listed, almost to the point to where it scares you away, to where you're like, okay, that's like double the last comp. I'm not even going to make an offer because they're not going to accept it. But I've learned this week, and not with everybody, but probably about 25% of my purchases have been from me making a realistic offer, and people have accepted it. And another thing is, I was looking at two of the identical card today. Somebody had one buy it now for 400, and someone had to buy it now for 475. They both had a best offer. I offered 225 to the guy selling it for 400, and he declined me. And I was like, well, this other guy's got his listed at 475. There's no way he's going to take 225. And I offered him 225, and he accepted it. Wow. So even though his was listed higher than the other person, he was still willing to take less than the other person. So don't be afraid to make offers on cards. People are going to list high because they're hoping that you bite that hook, but make your offers. Worst thing they can do is decline you, right?
I've been kind of doing that. 50% offers. That's pretty standard over the last, 6 months or so, for sure. Dakota, funny, I have a video on this. There's literally just one guy per generation. Then there are 2 or 3 stragglers that do all right, but there's always one right answer. I think that's part of why Dakota just likes his short-term flip type stuff, where he gets into offensive linemen and position players and quarterbacks too, but short-term over long-term. Makes sense. Yeah, Dakota made the highly controversial "Don't Buy Goats" video a year and a half ago. Got everybody's attention. I think
buy cows, chickens, and horses.
Don't buy goats.
No goats.
Dakota, a controversial video? What?
Right.
You have that crown now.
Oh, I think controversial is kind of fun sometimes. Yeah, it just depends on what it is. It's kind of fun. Hey, if we all agree on everything, the world is a very boring place, friends. Compelling historical characters: Walter Payton, Barry Sanders. Bad teams, great people. Fair enough. Yeah, Dex with the ultimate avatar. Buy only the GOAT, Tom Brady. I'm a Tom Brady buyer. I mean, if his prices continue to trend downward, now granted, I don't have autos and Bowman Chrome 10s and all that stuff. I don't have higher end stuff. I just that just seems to me like the right one for me to hold.
Would it be fair to say that Barry Sanders would be like the Dan Marino of his position?
I kind of think of him more as like the Ken Griffey Jr. of football,
right,
because
they
Yeah,
they were both fun to
I like
watch.
the
They
Griffey
both
comp
revolutionized the position and played it differently, especially for their time that they were in the league. They never won the Super Bowl, but they're both considered to be in the debate for the greatest. It's just kind of, I don't know.
Well, when you think about Griffey, he's an iconic player, but never was a dominant postseason player, a bunch of titles and all that. But he is a generational icon, I mean, with his 89 Upper Deck rookie. And Barry's kind of the same deal. He came out the same year, same rookie year. And Barry didn't win any titles, but he's widely considered to be one of the best running backs of all time. So, yeah.
When everybody just liked Griffey, like he became the face of baseball for that like era. And that's kind of, why he transcended, because he wasn't just a great player. He was also like, I don't want to say the spokesperson for the sport, but it was like Griffey was he was the player for our era, at least.
I mean, you could argue that he was the most like dominant in terms of like social awareness out of all the sports, not just baseball during that era. Like probably him and Jordan would be like during that time. Like
Barry Sanders is likable too because he wasn't cocky. He just destroyed everybody, and then he like handed the ball to the referees and was like mega polite and all that stuff. But as he just completely clowned the defense, so he was just very likable dude.
Griffey also has the benefit of having like the greatest auto in sports cards.
Man, I talked about this a long time ago. Dustin's way behind.
What happened? Oh, am I way behind on the comments?
Talked about this Frank Robinson. Remember?
You're like a day and a half.
Man,
guys, I'm not great at this. I'm not great at
comment guy.
All right, I'll whiz through. Collector's Dream, how's it going? Yeah, this is from like.
This is still going to take like another 45
minutes.
20 minutes ago.
It's only 20 minutes ago. When people my age hit 45, Bond's going to be doing all right. Okay, well that'll be in what, 2 or 3 years to Dak? Whoa, got him. What sport does he play? Basketball? Okay. What's up, Orlando? Members in the chat now. Barry Bonds will be shoeless Joe Jackson in 50 years.
You talked about Barry Bonds like 45 minutes ago.
I bought a Barry Bonds card this week. I bought a baseball card. Can you imagine that? I mean, I do want to Willie Mays, but I did buy a Barry Bonds.
The thing I love about baseball, like the early 2000s Fleer, like game used bat, game used jersey, auto stuff. That stuff is awesome. Like, and it's not mega expensive.
Some of the Fleer put out some good sets then. And I know a lot of people like to flock towards the Upper Deck product because that was like the premium product then.
Yeah.
I love the SP signature set from '99 that Upper Deck put out. But
did you see my local show pickup, Steve?
Oh, love that. Yeah, I saw that one.
Is that Bo Jackson?
Yeah, a little Bo Jackson.
You know what's funny? This must be intuition because I was just thinking about Bo Jackson literally 30 seconds ago because I have a Nintendo behind me with Tecmo Bowl. And I'm like, man, I need to get on there with Bo Jackson and just run some people over.
Oh, guys.
Yeah, this was at my local show the other day, and I walked through and I was like, crap, I'm going to be back for that probably. And then I didn't see anything else that I wanted, so I swung back and cut a deal on that. I'm
gonna throw out the most important thing that any of us are gonna say all night. Go into your app store and download Retro Bowl. Retro Bowl is basically like Tecmo, like a supercharged Tecmo Bowl. It's free. It's a free download. And then it was like, if you want to upgrade and support the developers, I'm like, I'm not gonna upgrade. It's fine. And then I went to go upgrade. It was 99 cents and allows me to play in like weather and all this stuff. But it's basically like an enhanced version of Tecmo Bowl that you can play on your phone. You don't need Wi-Fi. You can be on a plane or whatever and be playing it. I've got like 60 seasons under my belt. So Retro Bowl on the App Store. Check it out.
Where's the
no, that's not a spot. That's not a sponsor. That's just
channel partner.
I'm waiting for the banner to go across the screen.
Yeah. No, it's just an amazing game. It's an amazing. It's fun.
Told me about that one when I was down last time. You're like, you should download this and you can play it on the plane or whatever on your way back or something like that.
100%. How do you feel about your Dale Earnhardt purchases? Are you optimistic long-term on them? I like, well, so the one thing is he's kind of the GOAT of NASCAR outside of Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson. Those are three guys that have 7 titles. So it's really those three guys and everybody else. So, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. obviously passed away, so he doesn't have a lot of autograph cards. So, you know, I mean, I think it's just a matter of, do you think that NASCAR is going to carry, you know, demand? Like, what's the demand going to be down the road? You know, when you talk about long-term. But I know Steve likes Dale Earnhardt Sr. stuff as well. It's just, it's scarce. So if there ever is kind of that demand that hits, there's just not a lot of it. So if you have it, then you're in good shape.
That 2000 Upper Deck sign of the times that he has, because, you know, all of his other autographs come out of like Classic and a lot of the Ken Golden products and things like that. But his first big manufactured card and only was the 2000 sign of the times. I picked one of those up December of 2022. Well, December of 2021 for $700. Another one hadn't surfaced until maybe 2 months ago. That's how long, and took another one of those for hit to auction. And it was the same grade as mine, same exact card, and it went for over $1,500. So that's a card that I bought 2 years ago that has actually doubled in value. Now mine's not for sale because mine's part of my PC. I only have like 10 to 15 cards in my personal collection, and that's one of them. But they can, you know, some NASCAR collectors are diehard.
We got a tag plant in the chat. John Wolf is automated grading. No, I'm kidding. I think it's too risky to have a strategy based on PSASG grade. What happens when AI grading comes in and disrupts all that? Excellent point. I mean, look, if there is a company, and I have no idea if that'll be, you know, tag automated grading, but if there's a company in that same version of that or whatever that can do all those things, it's just going to depend on so many different factors. How many people are going to adopt it? How long will it take to adopt it? You know, there's just so many moving parts with that. But interesting discussion, John, and we'll follow it for sure. If there's news related to it, you know that me and Neo will be on it every single day. We'll be here for you. Charles Fuchs is in the house. What's going on, man? I don't know if you're still here. I'm about 45 minutes back on the chat, but yeah, hopefully you're still.
That was 3 streams ago when he was here.
Oh, wait, I'm clicking on the same.
You know,
yeah, now you're pulling the same comments that you already pulled up once. What is this?
Going back to one of your videos from the other day, I found an entire box of autographs that I had gotten through the mail when I was a kid and sent.
Oh, yeah, the TTM stuff.
Like you did the video talking about some of yours. I have some photos and some autographs, and I got my self-addressed stamped envelopes all with them and stuff. And I always got stuff back from people that weren't necessarily my favorites. And then like my favorite people that I really liked, they never sent me back. Man, they kept my card and everything. And almost maybe not want to be their fan of them anymore, but you know. Wade Boggs was one, man. I sent to Wade Boggs so many times because I played third base when I was in Little League. I sent to Wade Boggs so many times. Wade Boggs was my absolute favorite. When I got an 83 tops Wade Boggs, man, it was like I ran like around the block like 3 times full sprint. I was so excited.
The way that my dad
and he never ever signed it.
He didn't sign it? The way my dad
always and I'm not going to buy any of his off eBay now either, and they're probably not very expensive.
You shouldn't. Don't do
I wanted it to come from him in my envelope personally, man.
Yeah, no,
my only through the mail auto, which I think I've showed this before, is I sent this to Earnhardt and he signed it, but he signed it on the back.
Oh really man, that's pretty cool card though.
But yeah, this was through the mail.
A lot of times they sent my card back and they sent me something else. Like Troy Aikman, I sent to Troy Aikman in 1990, so it was his second year in the league. So he wasn't famous and popular yet, and he sent back my card signed, and he sent me a 5x7 photo signed also.
Oh, I didn't get the photo.
I even mailed off to David Copperfield because I liked doing Magic and stuff, and he sent me back a big photo autograph, David Copperfield.
Wow,
that's pretty
impressive.
Hulk Hogan sent me back too.
Nice. Yeah, the through the mail autograph stuff is interesting. I thought about like, should I get into that again? Like if any of my kids are into it, but they're not really into any particular players. Like it's not like they're big into it to where we would do that as kind of a thing together. Mm-hmm. James, so I think what happens here is I copy and paste it from another video and then it doesn't like get the whole link. And so then it just goes to like the wrong link. It goes to this is the wrong thing. But if you look up, like, I think it's like Sports Card Dad, you know, whatever Facebook group or something, it'll be there. It'll be there. Burbank show, not going to the Burbank show. I think we had that question earlier. None of us are going to be going. I'm sick that my Mantle SGC3 has bad eye appeal. Mike, you're always flexing. Do you ever stop flexing?
Let me take that off, man. If it makes you feel that bad, Mike, I will take that off your hands and solve your problem for you.
Is this the same comment, or like did he put it through twice? Because I did click on this, or am I just going through the same stuff?
I don't know. It was Monday when you pulled that.
I have no idea who's operating the controls over there.
I'm still at the very beginning of the chat, so here we are. Yeah, he definitely put that through twice. Autographs undervalued. Ryan gets it. He gets it. He gets it. He's watching. He gets it. Mike Petty, display a reprint, but keep the real stuff buried in the mountains with your money. Yeah, probably. I think that Mike's got the stuff. I think he's definitely got the cards. Ungraded Unitas cards cheap. Interesting. I've always thought about, man, I need to just buy raw vintage stuff, and then someone will tell me a story about how they got ripped, and so I'm like, maybe I won't. But I think that would be
eBay, then it'll go through authentication.
Excellent.
Man, I bought 4 cards on January 9th or 29th. I'm sorry, January 29th, and they're not going to be delivered until February 14th. That's like 16 days. And I got to wait for my cards because they have to go through eBay authentication.
Flipping Steve can't flip like that.
Oh, if you buy a Jalen Hurts card and you want to try to sell it before the Super Bowl, forget about it. You may not. Yeah, forget about it.
Dude, you'd have to go. You'd have to fly into PSA and just, hey, don't ship it. Just I'll come pick it up myself.
I mean, really, that's 16 days to get a card. I mean, you really got to take that into account now if you're buying online and you're looking, say you wanted to buy a Jalen Hurts card and sell it before the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen unless you're buying a base prism or something.
Dakota getting aggressive in the chat, per usual. 18 months in football, Neo. Everyone's getting upset. Yes, Hendon Hooker, QB Tennessee. I want him to be a saint. Absolutely. Wow, I did say that a while ago. Okay, I'm behind. Guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this. Any last thoughts before we wrap up? I'm just going to look and see if there's anything really juicy. Sorry if I miss you guys here. Steve, Rob, what is something profound that you want to add before we sign off? Rob first.
Profound. I don't know. I got nothing profound. I haven't said anything profound in 3 years.
Oh, chat. Should this be a regular thing where we have all 3 of us on Off-Centered more regularly? Throw your answer in. Yes or
because I'm kind of off. No, I'm actually pretty centered very well between you guys right about now.
We can make it work.
I think, am I the most frequent guest on Off-Centered? I think this is my 3rd or 4th appearance.
Probably. Yeah. Steve was, Steve was definitely.
A host now. He doesn't count.
Now he's hosting. But yeah, I think you probably are. I don't know. I can't think of anyone we've had on more.
I am not host. I have no control over any of these comments, over any of this stuff. I just wait for Dustin to pull it up. Sometimes
Dustin's
I skip ahead and look.
The thumbnail. You guys Photoshop Charles Fuchs right out of that photo. It's all good.
Yeah, the hugging photo.
That was his photo too.
For a new photo op cover thumbnail at the National this year.
That was his photo that he took and Photoshopped and made it look all shiny and nice and put it on Instagram. And then I cropped him out of it and was like, "Hey, Dustin, use this photo." Hey, but he got pretty much a free trip to the National this year because he won the contest.
Charles
is he going this year, or is he going to have to win your? Are you doing a giveaway, Steve, or no? I don't want to spoil some giveaway.
I'd like to, but I got to get my own room booked first.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
Because I haven't looked at cost.
Steve's going to win his own giveaway magically.
Well, I haven't looked at cost, and 2 years ago when I did the giveaway in Chicago, everything was pretty reasonable. Atlantic City was not reasonable, and I still did that giveaway, and I got back my $10.99 from AdSense from YouTube, and I spent probably 3 times more money on giving away that national trip than I made on YouTube for the entire year. So it's not a thing where I do it for money or anything like that.
I can't do a giveaway honestly, because then it'll be like, oh, he picked a friend. There'll be 50 different reasons why.
It got shit last year for Charles winning.
Yeah, it'll be like $5,000 of my own money, and it'll still be like, oh, this was rigged somehow, and he gave it to one of his buddies. I can't. I'm just not going to do it, Steve. So that's all you, brother.
You won't see this comment for another hour, but Chris says, let Neo or Steve handle chat so Grandpa Dustin can chill.
What's the?
I would really like to do it, though. With that being said, the plan is yes, but you know what happens with plans. You know, I'm not even locked up me going to the National yet, so it's kind of tough to then put into perspective.
I'm just excited it's back in Chicago. I hated Atlantic City last year.
Yeah,
It
agreed.
sucked. I hated how we were all like, the venue was fine, my hotel was fine. I just hated how we were all spread out from each other. Like, it was a pain. Like that night that, you know, our long walk on the beach with me, Steve, and my wife. Like, we were trying to get back to you, Dustin, and it was like, well, he's way over here, and trade night's way over here, and that's like 3 more taxi rides.
You told me that pizza was 2 blocks away. Like 4 miles later, 4 miles later, we're finally pulling up there. They're shutting the lights off. There's like one little dried up, crusty piece left in the window, and I was like, "Pizza."
Well, that was Steve. That was you the first time when it was like, "Hey, man, let's just go grab a slice," and it was like, "Okay, cool." I think it's like
went to the same place.
I remember being right up here.
We came from a different direction.
We took us to the same place the next night and told us the same BS story.
Yeah, we went to
it's like 45 minutes later, and we're like, "Steve, where the F is this pizza place at?" He's
I'm
like,
like,
"Oh, it's just right down there on the corner." I'm like,
hey, when I used to walk the Atlantic City boardwalk in those casinos, everything seemed closer. I think now that I'm older, everything seems farther away.
We slice of pizza, and he's like, "We got to cut down here so we can get to the front of this thing to grab a taxi." And he takes us down some back alley where people are like
walking by the Hard Rock Casino, man. You turned us
the worst.
If we'd have went up one more block, we'd have been right in front of the Hard Rock. But instead, we walked down the side and had to come all the way back around. Well, that's because Neo was like, "I got to get off this boardwalk, man. I got to get off this boardwalk."
The worst is when I
almost Atlantic City a little bit, you know.
That's probably how I got COVID.
I was carrying one of Steve's cases, and I went to go grab food, and I
left it.
And then Steve comes up and he's like, and I'm like, "Hey guys," and he's like, "Where's my case?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh shit, I actually had your case." So I left the Pelican case sitting right there where I paid. Fortunately, it was like 10 seconds later, so I just ran back and grabbed it. But I asked Steve, would we still be friends if I had lost that case? And he's like, yeah. I'm thinking like, no, we wouldn't be. You would hate my guts. There's no way we'd still be friends. Bobby Burrell, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
The only nice thing about Atlantic City was I did like the hotel that we stayed at. I like that food court that they had in the basement. That was kind of convenient.
You stayed at the Borgata too, right?
Yeah, we were at the Borgata.
Borgata's super nice.
We just pricey. Taxiing over every day and just I don't know.
I mean, the cost it would the cost it would have been to fly to Chicago, because I'm able to drive to Atlantic City. The cost to fly to Chicago would have actually been cheaper to fly and stay in Chicago than it was to drive and stay and get all those Uber rides and stuff in Atlantic City, like easily.
I'm warning you, the Cleveland one's going to be like Atlantic City. There's no hotels around the Cleveland Convention Center. Like
is there any food?
You're going to have to drive in every day, and everyone's going to be all spread out.
What about food? It's just going to be whatever they've got there.
Yeah, it's literally by itself out in the middle of nowhere. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but like there's nothing right there around it.
So pack snacks.
Yes.
Got it. All right, guys. I'm finally to the end of the chat. I just skipped over about 400 comments. So apologies if I missed you. But thank you very much. Absolutely for showing up. Neo Cards and Comics. Check out his channel if you have not already. Flipping Steve, my co-host, also has a channel himself. And yeah, thank you again, guys. We will be back in 2 weeks. Any last words, fellas?
I hope they're not my last words, but anyway,
he just wants to get to the hot tub.
Yeah. Just like I said earlier, I kind of touched on it. Like I'm back into like hunting cards down, and there are deals out there, regardless of what a lot of people say. Don't ever be afraid to make an offer on something. It's, you know, and don't buy stuff that's overpriced, because then you're already in the red. Like can you see my plasma ball back there? We've gone the whole video and no plasma ball.
What the hell? What is a plasma
Someone
ball?
commented on the Darth Vader.
You don't know what a plasma ball? All the way back over my shoulder, back there against the wall.
Yeah. What does it do?
Nothing.
You know what a plasma ball does?
Is it like a lava? Is it like a lava lamp?
What?
Is it like a lava lamp? A plasma ball?
You touch it and it has like electricity. You ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh, you mean like the yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like back in the day, like these things were like super expensive, and you would go into like a store and they'd have one.
It'd be everywhere.
That would be the greatest thing to have in my room, but it costs so much money. And now it's like, hey man, I can afford to have one in my This is a spare bedroom. Anyway,
It's kind of like nice cards
/room,
right?
Yeah.
In a way, it's like that's way too expensive when you're 12, and now you're like, I can do it. All right, guys, we're really going this time. All right, have a great rest of your week. Talk to you later.